Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh. Welcome to the Sikh Youth Show, each and every Wednesday at 9 p.m. on the Sikh channel. Just to clear up a few misconceptions on the EPG, it states another show. It's definitely not that show. This is the Sikh Youth Show. Just wanted to make that clear. There should be a strap on the screen to say this is the Sikh Youth Show as well. I want to introduce my guest today, who is a well-known Panthik activist in the community, Sarbjit Singh, RajoanaTV. Welcome to the show. We want to thank him for coming at last minute. You know, we told him earlier today to come on the show, so it is a bit last minute, but we appreciate him being here.
No worries.
And we're going to be discussing some of the relevant issues that are related to today, in the current climate that we're in as a Panth, as a Qawm, some of the issues that we're facing as a community, some of the work that we've been doing as Sikh youth, and as Sarb's been working on in the community as well. Just a few updates, and before we go into talking, there was a monthly forum that we do each and every month, which is fantastic. A lot of the Najwan youth come there to get inspired, and you know, we have talkers like Sarb coming there, like myself there, like others there who want to, if you want to get involved in that, please make sure you come down. It's Guru Nanak Gurdwara Smadik, once a month, every you know, each and every month. Then we also started one in Southall. Now these two, Smedik and Southall, are very highly populated Sikh, Punjabi Sikh areas, and it's very important that we've got activists being active on the Panthik Soch there, because we're going to have to inspire them and direct them in the right direction, so they are staying away from Mari Sangat, they're in positive Sangat, they're doing positive things and proactive work to be activists as Sikhs should be in the community at grassroots. Sarb, you know, some of the work that goes on day to day in the community, you know, like what we see in forums, obviously, and whatnot. How important is it for us to, you know, feed that back to the future generations as well as the elders at the same time?
Well, firstly, I want to commend you. I know you don't like praise and stuff, but I want to commend you on the work and the team that you got, the work that you do, because it's easy to feel good about yourself when you're doing other types of seva, you know, but this type of seva, and it is seva, some people think that people like yourself and me, we like to think negatively and look at the negative parts of life and society and where the Qawm is, but only we know how dark that is, and we have to realise that that darkness is also part of Sikhi. And people like Banda Singh Bahadur, they didn't just have this, you know, rosy, cushy life. They were very much immersed into that darkness, and they shone like beacons. So people like yourself, you don't choose to go into this. It's your duty and the values and the principles that you hold that make you go down that road. And the level that you've taken it to as well, where you've managed to get it. I know a lot of Sangat who never knew about the grooming issue. When you've even done the live stings, it's taken it to a whole different level, and there's people talking about, hang on, is my girl safe? Has she got the right type of Sangat? Does she need a mobile phone at the age of 12? You know, it's got people having those conversations, so that's really positive. So just commend you on that. But yeah, you know, the question you ask about how important these forums are, Guru Kars were centres of learning. They are centres of learning. They're not places of worship. Guru Maharaj has given us the technology to connect with Maharaj and with Akal Purkh anywhere we are. Obviously, we go to get Guru Maharaj's darshan, but the real core and being of a Guru Kar was going to empower yourself physically, so you're training there, was to empower yourself mentally, was to empower yourself economically, spiritually. You get the right Sangat. It's a place where you go to, where you can help people, where you seek for help. So these kind of forums are doing what a Guru Kar should be doing. Not that, you know, 5 to 10 grand is coming through the Golik every single week and you decide, oh, we'll just build another hall, we'll put some more marble on the Gurdwara, because that's not going to, building buildings isn't going to help us, building character is, and the way we're going to build character is if we have these forums, if we have these debates, question answers, and we discuss topics that perhaps don't get discussed from a stage on a Sunday morning.
Definitely.
And that's where we can see people open up, see what issues are happening on the ground level, and that's where we can sort of put measures in place to help people.
Of course, and interacting with the Sangat and the Najwan who are coming to these events, they tell you what the issues are in their schools, in their colleges. You know, like today I've been in court all day with a family whose daughter's in care, trying to get her back, you know. Sometimes it's not the girl's fault, and she's in a situation where she's been taken away from her family, her friends, her loved ones, her education, her dharm, her culture. You know, what I saw representing today was in court when we went with this family was people exploiting the niche market that's there, foster care, social services, interpreters, legal system. They were all in favour of a non-Sikhi sword to the child and taking her away from her culture and her dharm.
Yeah.
You know, and this is the kind of system that we're up against as a community.
That's the thing, if people like yourself don't go to courts, if you don't do this kind of survey, if you're not engaged in it, the wider Sanghat's never going to know that, look, we've got, like a major thing you just touched upon, is a major thing is a shortage of foster carers.
Yeah, definitely.
You know, it's killing a lot of our generation because, you know, we've got, you know, like you said, the system doesn't mind upsetting a Sikh family. It doesn't mind upsetting the Sikh community because they're not really going to see many repercussions from it because, you know, we're quite compliant, we're nice, and we go by the system, even if the system doesn't make sense. So, you know, they'll happily pluck a Sikh kid out of a home and put them somewhere that's not even culturally matched or that's not religiously matched or matched on a linguistic basis, whereas they may try and do that for somebody else.
Of course.
So if we're not engaged in this type of survey, we're not going to know that there's actually loads of kids out there, people you can't even count, that are struggling and they're being placed, and sometimes deliberately, in certain homes and families.
Definitely, you know, there's been case examples where people have been charged and convicted, ready to go to Syria, you know, when they've been placed into care and into non-Sikh households, you know, so we are up against a struggle. It's very important and that we raise these issues and see how that market out there has been took up and they are taking full advantage of vulnerable families, victims, secondary victims, all of them within that, you know, just in that sort of profession. And, you know, if we do see our people who are in these professional careers, why don't they have that Pantik Soch instead of, you know, just being compliant, like complicit to the system, just like you've said. You know, the whole point of us setting up the independent smart centre when we did the fundraiser on Sikh Channel, because it's a solution to the problem, because then we stay Niara, we're independent as a community, and we can challenge where the system's failing us.
Yeah, exactly. And traditional Khalsa Soch, Khalsai Soch will always say that you do protect yourself and you develop your own systems of protecting yourself. Where other places may, organisations or services fail us, then we have to create our own.
100%.
Whether that's having, you know, a safe taxi kind of service or a safe accommodation, or it's a safe house, or it's a social worker that knows about your culture and about your background, then, you know, we will, if it carries on, we will be forced to create our own systems of protection for our girls, where we can, you know, where they're not going to be let kind of just loose. You know what I mean? So, you know, we ought to live in a world where we are governed and we are protected just as much as anyone else. But we also know deeper on the ground level that that's not happening.
No,
so,
definitely.
you know, it's our job then to tell the Sangha that this is happening, and then it's the Sangha job to find a solution and help the solution.
Definitely, all of the department, professional, the police forces, the social services, the foster cares, the education departments, all failing in our community. They are not at all putting solutions and providing solutions or engaging with anyone from the Sikh community or Sikh dharm. They are isolating our children and putting them in more vulnerable positions than they already are. And this is what I'm seeing. You know, you're talking about independence. You're talking about, you know, how we should stay. Niara and the Khalsa has always done things its way. You know, this year, a massive attack happened on Sri Darbar Sahib in 1984. This is 35 years ago. And, you know, we've got Guru Nanak Dev Ji Maharaj's 550 years Gurpurab later this year, and we've also got a 35-year remembrance coming up in June. It's only a few months away. We need to be pushing and now starting preparing for that. And we made it's a big anniversary for us, remembrance for that. We need to be, you know, as a community, having, you know, all the Najwan, all the community groups, all the orgs out there. We need an urgent meeting, I think, Sarb.
I think, yeah, we were just discussing as well, just even before the show, that the 550th Gurpurab of Guru Nanak Dev Ji Maharaj is monumental. But say we could sit back and do nothing for that, and we know the whole Sikh Qaum, the whole Sikh Jagat will organise its own huge programs and stuff will happen, and it won't go without a huge, you know, without being marked in a big way. But we're not hearing the same for the 35th anniversary of the attack on Harmandir Sahib. It's like it's left to a few fringe organisations or a few fringe individuals who feel dard for the Qawm. And these people, these masses who believe that, oh, it's just the Qawm of the fringe people, or it's got nothing to do with Sikhi or Guru Nanak Dev Ji's Prakash, these people don't realise that Guru Nanak Dev Ji was here in physical form. They'd be the first in line to get justice for what happened to the children of Guru Nanak Dev Ji on that week, on that Kalukar and the genocidal week. So it speaks volumes for the way we are as a Qawm, that we feel comfortable when we're talking about other people's, we feel comfortable talking about what's happening in Syria, coordinated terror attacks in Paris, we feel comfortable about Yemen, we feel comfortable, but for some reason there's a fear and psychosis when we talk about our own issues.
Why do you think that is?
I really don't know. I'd love to pinpoint it, because if you can pinpoint it, just like you've come up with a few solutions for the things that you've got, maybe we could come up with a solution which changes the mindset and the fabric of our people. But for some reason, I think some of it's got to do with the years of systematic cover-up from the Indian government, the years of chasing, intimidating, killing, exterminating people who talked about this, people who, if they didn't even spare lawyers. Like there was a barrister called Baines. They didn't spare judges. They didn't spare the armed Punjabi Pindu. Yeah. So they've created a mass fear about this. But then I think partly we're also to blame. And I've mentioned this before, and I mentioned it in one of your forums as well. That Sardar Ajmer Singh Randhawa, a historian who I really respect. I mean, there's not many people who I can sit down and listen to for an hour, but he's amazing. I mean, if you get a chance, type his name in on the internet. Amazing Sikh historian. He made the point that Harmandir Sahib has been attacked countless times. Some have been recorded in history, like Masarangar's attack, Ahmad Shah Abdali's attack. Others haven't. They've just simply, some Mughals, Afghans or Turkish, they've just simply come and decided they're going to destroy Harmandir Sahib to strike a blow at us. That hasn't been recorded in history. But the defenders of faith, people like Baba Gurbakh Singh, who went in with 42nd, defended and fortified Harmandir Sahib. People like Bhai Sukha Singh, Bhai Mehtab Singh, who went in with weapons and took Masarangar off. People who, like Baba Deep Singh Ji, who liberated Harmandir Sahib against the forces of Ahmad Shah Abdali. There were countless Sikh at the time, even brave ones. But a lot of them didn't have the courage to do what Baba Deep Singh done. A lot of them didn't have the courage to go onto horseback and do what Bhai Sukha, Bhai Mehtab Singh done. A lot of them didn't have the courage to go in with Baba Gurbakh Singh and fortify Harmandir Sahib and stop it from being destroyed with gunpowder. Yeah. But not one Sikh ever said to Baba Gurbakh Singh, or said in history or wrote, what was he doing in Harmandir Sahib with weapons? No one ever asked the question, why did Bhai Sukha, Bhai Mehtab Singh ride in with their Shastad on horseback? No one ever questioned Baba Deep Singh for coming in blood-soaked with his khanda. But for the first time in Sikh history, when Santaji fortified and defended Harmandir Sahib with the intel, knowing that Harmandir Sahib was going to be a target for a major military siege, for the first time in Sikh history, Sikh were questioning what a Sikh was doing there. And that represents a real shift in our psyche. It represents something not only that has been done by external forces, but by internal ones as well, where we've created that fear ourselves. Don't talk about this. Don't write this on social media. Don't do this. And now that's been compounded by the cases of Jagtar Singh Johal, where even though he's a British-born Sikh, he's still rotting in an Indian cage just for running a website to describe this kind of stuff.
Yeah, it's horrific, and it comes back to conditioning. We were discussing earlier, conditioning into thinking, first it's a serious issue, then we condition because it repeats itself so many times. And this is what's happened with, say, Maharaj Biadabi. It's happened with fake encounters. It's happening now when they're targeting people on British-born citizens. They're targeting Najwan now. Like, there was a recent article with 3 Sikh Najwan, and there's loads of students protesting in Punjab. But, it's really serious to see how crazy they're giving sentences for somebody to, life sentences for somebody to just hold a pamphlet or book on Shaheed Singhs.
Shaheed Singhs. And this is what you call precedent setting. It's deadly. Because you mentioned the Biadabi. Now, Maharaj's Biadabi happened. They took Maharaj Ramallah Sahib, put it in cow manure. They then went and people, the whole world was shocked, and then they got Maharaj's Angan, ripped it open with razor blades. Then people were shocked. Then somebody went in a Guru car and tried to set Guru Maharaj alight. People kind of shocked. Then it becomes kind of normal, and they become conditioned to it. And then you hear of Biadbi now, no one's up in arms because they're conditioned to it. Jasbir Singh was shot dead by a police officer who was supposed to protect him in a peaceful protest. Other people got shot before that. Many got shot after that. Badarshan Singh, all these kind of things got shot in peaceful protests. And it was no longer news. Then you got the Singh from Jammu, I think it was, who got shot.
Yeah.
It really wasn't news because people think, oh God, another Singh's been made shahid. Oh, Biadbi's happened again. Now the same thing's happening with Jagtar Singh Johal, which is why this is precedent setting, is that it's happened to a lad on British, who's born on British soil. So then it kind of sends a message to all of us to say, look, you could be suffering the same fate.
Trying to silence voices.
Silence voices, scaring people into not even going back to Punjab, or not even, forget making videos or doing prachar, listening to it or watching to it.
Definitely.
Watching it. So people are scared to even do that, or don't even share it on your timeline, because when you go back to Punjab, they might say, oh, what's this on your timeline?
Yeah.
Now, what's happened to these three Sikh? It's unprecedented. To give somebody a life sentence for having some pamphlets that, a literature that anybody could hold, that, I believe in my right to self-determination. How is that a life sentence?
Definitely.
Unprecedented. So this is now a message to the Punjabi youth that don't even talk about this.
Exactly.
Don't go to a peaceful protest.
Don't even read the books.
Don't even read the books. So it's like, trying to whitewash history. But I think what they don't realize is that there's some Punjabi youth out there, and you can see them, like the Vicky Godras of this
Definitely.
world. There's a guy, I'm not sure too about his politics, but I've been watching his video, a guy called Lakha Sidana. And these are guys who've got some ankh. They're saying, why is Punjabi on the bottom of the sign? Why is our road signs why is Hindi first, and then English, then Punjabi? Soon you'll take Punjabi off. And they're trying to bring some awareness and some jagrati. So as much as we often lament about that current situation, especially in Punjab with the drugs epidemic and the alcohol and the cancer, the uranium and all this kind of stuff, the farmer suicide, there's something about our soil that will always give birth to rebels and people who will stand up when it's really hard to do so. So we've got to rely on that fact, and we've also got to be their backbone. We can't all of us think that, Jaggi Joel's in jail, I can't go back to Punjab, or I can't say this, or I can't do that, because that's exactly what they want.
Exactly.
They want to create the fear and psychosis again, because they thought that after 35 years of absolutely lying through their teeth, because if you repeat the same lie over and over again, it just becomes the truth in many cases. They thought by repeating the same lie and by creating a graveyard of silence about the issue, that this generation, our generation, would forget. But if you look now, our generation now, a lot of them feel comfortable talking about this. A lot of them feel passionate. There's more people going to the rallies. So it's actually happening, having the opposite effect.
Of course, there's more events happening. We do an annual football Shahidi tournament in memory of what happened in June '84. We always do it 2 years after the Rally Majara. So this year we'll be doing the same. Like talking about Jaggi and them to try and silence voices. I think they've gone to the extent to try and silence voices by trying to raid innocent Sikh human rights activists here in the UK, to try and silence their voices who are outspoken and speaking on, Jaggi's campaign, speaking about 1984, collating Jeevaniya, sharing the Shaheed Singh. They're trying to suppress the voices here further there, and that was setting a precedent. And the way they're doing it is, making up these Sikh associations and Sikh police forces to come into Gurdwara to, get intel to see who's talking about your Shaheed Singh, so they can feed back and suppress the Sikhs here. And, these are your own Sikh police officers doing it. And this is really sad to see the state we're in.
Yeah, it is. And it often happens. I mean, from what I can see, I mean, there's no coincidence that the people that were raided were very close to the Jaggi campaign. But it's another thing of picking on the soft target. What has been said by any one of us that is illegal, that contravenes any law. We are talking about people who were massacred in the most brutal way. Some have been made to disappear. There's not even death certificates. There's mums out there who's still looking at the door thinking, maybe he'll walk through today, maybe my son will walk through today. We're talking about those victims.
Of course.
And they're trying to criminalise that. And if you're trying to criminalise that, you're actually criminalising Sikhi, because our Sikhi doesn't tell us that we just turn a blind eye to injustice. And as everyone can see, I'm not a Gursikh, but I remember a talk that was said to me from Guru Nanak Dev Ji that "Je jeeve pat lati jaye, sab haram jeta kish khaye." That if around you there's injustice, then even a burki is haram for you.
Yeah.
So you know, it's a duty for all of us to, because even if you take away from the fact that they're our brothers and sisters, even if you want to look at it from a selfish perspective, if our parents hadn't decided to come to this country when they did, we could have been fake encountered in a field. We could have been forcibly disappeared. We could have been extrajudicially killed. So we can't somehow create a divide that that's them and this is us. We've got to be their voices. And
Definitely, man.
Like they say, the dead don't have a voice. And not only have they made a whole generation disappear, but by covering it up, they've just killed them all over again. And when we talk about generations, and sometimes I sit there and I think, not only did we lose a generation, but that generation who would have got married and had kids, we've lost that generation as well. And we're not just talking, you know, do 300 bande here. We're talking about, I mean, just once in Kala, I gave a very conservative estimate of 25,000. That's a really baseline figure. And we, you know, and we're looking at, there's cases coming out from Haryana where they've found illegal the bones of Sikh bodies and stuff. So there's police officers now. There's some 4 have been convicted over forced disappearances. So there's
a lot coming out on the forefront right now.
There's a lot coming out. There's a lot coming out, and the onus is on us to keep that kind of light burning.
Definitely. Just
once in Kala, I was like, even Jagtar Singh Joel, I mean, his website, to be fair to him, is one of the best out there for translations of Sanji speeches, for Jeevaniya of Gursikhs who stood like rocks, for multimedia, for pictures that no one's ever seen from the era. So there was nothing, he wasn't gaining anything personal from that. It was all for the love of his Qawm. And where he is now, wherever he is, whether he's chained up to a wall, whether he's being tortured, and we know he's in an Indian cage, it's because of the love of his Qawm. And we need to somehow make sure that the fear that they want to create, that doesn't spread.
Definitely, definitely. We're coming to the last 2 minutes. Just a couple of quick announcements before we end the show. We've got organizational perspective. We've got a new song coming out called Badala. Last year we did Izzat, we did a fantastic video shoot. This year it's called Badala. So this Sunday there's a video shoot. Go on our social media pages, have a look on the Sikh Youth UK pages. You will see the dress code. If you want to be part of it, message us, let us know. You can be part of it, more than welcome. It's open to all, so make sure you come along, be part of that track, you know, be part of the forums. If you want to come on the show and discuss some of the stuff and some of the issues that you're facing, we're getting a lot of issues in the local area, on the colleges and the schools. You know, any support that we can give as an organ, as a Qawm, we will try our best. Obviously, we want to thank Sikh Channel for giving us the platform every Wednesday to do the youth show, to spread the message and let people know. What I take from today is the 35-year remembrance. Let's get together and start being active, you know, and let's put that Pantik torch into all of our families. Sarb, last few words before we finish?
Last few words, yeah, just, I mean, I can only reiterate the importance of the 35th anniversary of the Kalukara. There's a lot of misconceptions. It's about educating ourselves. There's a lot of people coming out the woodwork now. They've suddenly found the courage to come on open platforms and say, these are the myths, this is why was Santji hiding, why was he doing this, why was he doing that? It's about educating yourselves so you can kind of, you know, knowledge is power, and it's a way of dispelling those myths. We'll also be coming out with short bite-sized videos in the run-up to the 35 years and educating people. Not only you educate yourselves, but you can internalize that knowledge and then empower others as well. No,
definitely. Thank you all for tuning in. Share the link, let everyone know what we've been discussing, and we'll see you next week. Thank you all for listening. I want to thank Sarb for coming on. Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh.